Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live, the #1 Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board game. Our special guest tonight, Jason Dinger. Hit us up on social media, on Twitter at Board Game Gumbo, on Facebook, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo, or you can always send me an email, boardgamegumbo@gmail.com. Some show notes before we begin on the blog side, which is a proud member of Punchboard Media. That's right, Board Game Gumbo. It's a network of board game content creators dedicated to bringing families and friends and board game enthusiasts together. Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. This past week, we actually met with the designer of Loot the Body, and that's up on YouTube and on Facebook. And we did a little preview of Loot the Body, a new game on Kickstarter. Check that out. It's from a designer, Jason Bice, who actually grew up right here in Louisiana, Shreveport. So nice to see somebody do well from Louisiana. All right, Jason, welcome to Gumbo Live, man. Glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you. I'm trying to chew a little gum. Woke up, had surgery the other day and not feeling real great. Woke up this morning, so my voice was kind of jacked. So got the water and chewing some gum so I can actually talk a little bit.
I got it here myself. So Jason, we were having a couple of technical problems. Double check your Facebook feed. Does it look like it's showing up live now?
Yeah, a little bit of a delay, but it seems to be live.
It'll be a delay. Well, Jason, we had you earlier on. We talked about Captains of the Gulf coming out on Spielworks. Jason is a designer from Morgan City. You and I met through social media, and we've been friends for the last year. We talk almost every week, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm real happy with Captains right now. I think the last time we talked, I was working on some final changes. All that's been done. I've given it over to Uli, who was wrapping up stuff with Essen, and he's going to have a big playtest week this month in November. He's going to take the latest changes I made. The game's a lot different than when you played it last. I'm real happy about all the work we did this summer, and myself and Andreas Odendahl, who was working as editor and getting everything updated and refined and just streamlined and cleaned up without losing the heart of the gameplay that I loved about it from the start.
Sure, and look, for those that don't know you, this is Gumbo Live. BJ from Board Game Gumbo here with Gumbo Live. Special guest Jason Dinger. Just give us the elevator pitch, a quick bio of who Jason Dinger is.
An Army veteran, born and raised in Patterson, Louisiana. Got out of the Army after 8 years, moved back to Morgan City, where my wife and I work for the local municipal government. And board games are a pretty big part of our life. We spend several nights a week working with kids and teens. We train jiu-jitsu and we teach kids. And when we're not doing that, we're playing board games. We're either wrestling each other physically on the mat or we're wrestling mentally, on the game table.
Yep, that's right. I love playing games with Donna. She taught me Role Player the last time I saw you guys, and we had a good time. So hoping to get you guys back to Lafayette so we can play some more games.
Maybe in about a week or so. I think this weekend I'm just resting and recuperating.
You need to recuperate. That's right. So, Jason, last time we talked about Captains of the Gulf, and we talked a little bit about your new project, Acadians. Tell me, what's the status of Acadians? How's that coming along?
I need to spend about another 3 days updating components based on the newest changes that we made from our last playtest, and we should be able to playtest it in the next by the end of this weekend, I would hope. I'm really excited about it. The heart of the game, got this nice dice bag that my wife sewed with
nice
Star Wars. There's a 6-space rondelle. That is one pawn is placed on it, and 5 spaces where the pawn is, it gets loaded with 3 different discs. And these discs represent different types of actions you can take. And on your turn, but at the start of a round, I should say, on your turn, you move that pawn to the space that you want. Any spaces you skip, you have to leave $1 there. So it makes it more valuable. The spaces also have cards that are good, bad, better, worse. So there's a little bit of decision there. But you're going also to the space that has the discs for the actions you want to do in that round. The thing is, there's 3 discs on a space. You get 2, you give the other one to the player to your left. And it just goes around like that. So the next player does it, next player does it, next player does it. And you do that twice. So you have 6 discs, potentially 6 actions per round. And it's not really a I split, you choose so much. I'm choosing, I'm splitting, but then you're going to do the same and give some to me. So every round, I'm getting 4 discs that I've chosen and 2 that the player to my right has chosen and passed to me.
Okay.
And from there, it's in effect a worker placement game. For that point, you probably can't see this too clear.
Yeah, I think we can see it.
Discs, and the main actions each match to one of the colored discs in the bag. But at any time, you can take an action that you don't have the right color for by using 2 discs, but you're forfeiting an action.
That's right.
If you plan to do that, and you're going out settling land, you're harvesting. There's culture cards, which is music, art, festivals, dance, and food. Those give you immediate one-time morale boosts, but there is also an in-game set collection aspect to them. And then there's a church track where you're moving up because morale is your main. You spend money, but you spend morale is more the heart of the economy of the game.
Okay.
And every round, depending on where you are on the church track, you collect an income, so to speak, of that much morale. And as you move up on the church track, there's points at the end of the game, but also you unlock the ability to go build churches. One of the other actions is the builder, where you can build camps and churches, and the camps give you different abilities, but also you can only hire so many workers before you start making camps because you have to have a place for them to go. And then there's a market where there are cards in the center of the table that are looking for peppers and gators and things like that you're harvesting, and you're trying to get out there and fill those cards, but there's a bit of an area majority on each card. So if I let you do that card by yourself, I'm basically giving you bonus points as opposed to fighting over the spaces on that card. There's a little bit more to it, but that's the elevator pitch, the real quick gist of how the game works. And it's about the early Cajun settlers when they were kicked out of Acadiana, now Nova Scotia, and came down to Louisiana and started to sell the land, which was then owned by Spain.
You and I know the story, of course, about the Acadians and Le Grand Derangement when they got kicked out, the big expulsion. But what was the inspiration for why you wanted to do this game?
Honestly, Don and I played Roads and Boats. I don't know, maybe a year ago, the first time we played it, and went to bed that night. And a lot of my games seem to come from a dream. And I dreamed that we were playing a game. In Roads and Boats, you're building up. You start with donkeys, and you end up with UPS trucks. It's a very different game. It's Roads and Boats is a logistics game, and we love it. It's very different than this. But what it inspired me to do in that case, you're going out and you're settling the land and reaping the harvest and things like that. And I had a dream that we were playing a similar game, but it was the early Cajuns, how they used moss and things like that. So I started working with the idea, but I was basically at that point making Roads and Boats the Cajun version. And I can't do that, So I put it aside, and I had this rondelle of cards, and at the time it was cubes. I replaced it with discs, where those dictate what you're doing in the round. I had that mechanic in a game that was about the Spanish Civil War, and
I remember that one.
I really fine-tuned. I was happy with it, but the game wasn't becoming what I wanted it to be, and so I put it aside. But I didn't want to throw the mechanic away. And one morning over coffee, it just hit me to blend that theme I'd thrown away with this mechanic that I was about to throw away and just put them together. And so far, we really enjoy it.
What stage do you think you're at in the design?
Oh, it's very, very early. Until I get at least 10 or 12 full playthroughs with just Donna and I'm not even ready to show anyone else, because when I design, I'm designing for what she and I want, what she and I like to play. And so it's hard to play with someone else who may not feel the same way, about games that we do. And they may give what's good feedback, but it just doesn't fit for what my end goal is. And I know that as we play it and how we feel while we're playing it and at the end. So right now it's still really early. We've played about 2/3 of the way through a couple times. So we haven't played all the way through yet. But part of that is because I made some pretty significant changes to the merchant cards in the center of the table and how they work. And I think I'm finally happy with them. So in the end, the game's actually going to have 6 different area majorities in a way, because you have 3 different land types: forest, wetlands, and pastures. And there's an area majority for each of those types as you're going out and settling and harvesting. And then there's area majority for the cards, and then on the church track, and then the player with the most money gets certain bonus points at the end of the game. So in a way, there's actually 6 little majority battles that you're having. But right now, I'm not even having points. One of the best pieces of advice I got from Andreas Umdahl that he got from Uwe Rosenberg was, especially early in the playtest, just play and find out what's fun. Find out what the players enjoy doing. Tie the points to that. As opposed to making the mechanics just, you get 1 point, you get 2 points. That's boring. Play the game, let the game be its own reward, and then the actions that are the most rewarding emotionally to the players, that's where the points go.
Yeah, you and I have a mutual friend, Derek Dulé, one of our social media friends, although I think you've actually met Derek, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, we met in person at Unpub in March, and
that's right.
Quite a bit. We talk at least once a week.
When you were last on the show a couple of months ago, he was in the middle of his Kickstarter project. He came on our show to talk about ancient artifacts. But we played this little game. Steve O'Rourke, who's checking in on the BJ on the Gumbo page, Steve and I play this little game with the guests sometimes where we try to guess their envie game, a game that they want to play. And guess what Derek's envie game was?
It was the Acadians. I watched that one. Yeah.
Oh, you watched that one? Yeah.
And I mean this in a good way. Yeah, I watched that one live. I mean this in a good way. That was really awkward to hear. It was real humble.
Oh, I think we lost. Uh-oh.
It says it's attempting to reconnect. Hold on.
Okay, we can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you. So we can't see you, but we can hear you. Go ahead, Jason.
Okay, it says it's connected now. I don't know if you can see me again.
Yep.
Okay,
all good.
Yeah, it was just it was awkward, and I mean that in a good way, for him to say that. For me to hear him say that, it was real humbling.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that it's progressing along. Acadians is one that I'm also excited to play, although it's a Jason Dinger design. There's a lot going on in this thing. So I'm anxious to see how it's going to all come together. I can't wait to see it. And I'm very intrigued with the faith/morale track that you've got as an additional resource. Every time I've got a game I've been playing a lot lately, Ohm, has 2 different economic resources. And one of them will actually be victory points at the end. So every time you spend it, it's something you need, but it also takes away points at the end. So you better hope that your decisions bear fruit at the end of the game.
That's how the morale track works here, actually. You start with a certain amount of morale, and if at the end of the game, if you're below that, you're already minus 1 point. And if you're below that, 2 more steps, -3, 2 more steps at the bottom, -6. But you can also gain points for having higher morale at the end of the game.
BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live. I've got Jason Dinger from Morgan City, designer of the Spielworks release for 2018, Captains of the Gulf. We've been talking about a game that he's been working on, still in prototype form, the Acadians. What's the tagline? A story of Acadian culture? No.
It's the Acadians, Life of the Early Cajun Settlers.
Life of the Early Cajuns. Yeah, there we go. And there's Steve O'Rourke telling you, hey, congratulations, Jason, on being the love spreader of the week on BGG. That's right. I forgot to even put that in the show notes. Thank you for picking that up, Steve. I forgot about that. Jason, what's that been like this week, having some attention on you?
You know me. It's kind of weird, but,
but
not
that.
Bad. It was funny, some of the questions, and one person, I don't want to lie, it was close to 20 questions, if not more, that they sent.
I saw that one.
Didn't answer them all, and questions range from gaming to food to all kinds of different stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's right. So your reign is going to come to end on Sunday. Don't tell us, but you've already got somebody picked out, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
To spread it on. And you've also got your 3 truths and your 2 truths and a lie that you're going to reveal on Sunday. I don't know if you caught it. I remarked that get ready to look at Jason's very dark but interesting two truths and a lie. Because all 3 of yours has this theme of really pretty dark things that happen in your life, but at least 2 of them are true.
Yeah, they actually all have a little truth, but one of them was twisted just enough so that you wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. Both Steve and I voted on them. I haven't actually checked in with Steve to see which one he picked. Steve, I guess you don't mind saying here, public record, which one did you vote for? If you do, leave it on the comments for us, and we'll see if we can get a chuckle out of Jason. I'm trying to remember. So the 3 of them were the drug overdose, the undercover, the accidental undercover sting in Germany, and I don't remember the third. Oh, the drowning, but you were saved by Bobo the Clown or something like that.
Popeye
the Sailor Man. Yeah. Yeah. Steve says he's got to go back and look it up. I think that I went with the drug overdose. So we'll see.
There were other things I could have obviously, but I'm pretty much an open book. You know, I mean, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm no, you know me, I'm no different on social media as I am in person. And so most people know so much about me already because I talk so much and I'm so open that I was like, well, let me think of stuff that people probably don't know.
So Steve went with the informant. I know because of our private conversations that you were in Germany with the military, with the army. You, not in Wiesbaden, but you were, I forget where you were.
I was just Schweinfurt.
Okay. So I knew you were in Germany. So I figured that could be, I really wanted to vote for that one because that could be one of those, Barry's going to know it's true. Let me twist it a little bit and see if I can get it.
None of them are an outright lie.
Okay. Yeah. So they're all a little twist.
All 3 of them have at least some truth. The only thing is 2 of them are all true and one of them has a twist.
Steve's going to get me on this one because I was tempted and I just said, man, I wonder if Jason's trying to throw BJ off the track. So I'm afraid that you did.
I'm trying to throw everybody off.
All right. So there was a couple of games that I was very interested in hearing from you because you've gotten a chance to play them and I haven't even got a chance to see these yet. One I think is an older game that's being reprinted, Wildcatters.
Yes.
But the other one is one that is blowing up on social media. I mean, I see posts about it every day. I see reviews coming out. Clans of Caledonia. You got a picture of it there. I'm going to throw one actually on the screen. You won't see this, but I've got a picture. I mean, you know this picture. It's that Twitter picture of you that you have, the ones that I like to take really close up, right on the meeples and the money and the player board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about Clans of Caledonia. Well, first off, how did this get on your radar?
It got on my radar thanks to Jim and Joe from Punching Cardboard podcast.
Sure.
I mean, I had heard about it already, but I don't do too many Kickstarter games. I've just been burnt in the past with Kickstarter games. It's nothing against them, but unless I know the designer, as far as I've played their games, I don't kickstart too many things. I wait for it to come out later. And so I heard them talking about it, and it really sounded like Terra Mystica is a great game, but it's got some things wrong with it that kept Donna from ever getting into it. And most of our gaming is she and I 2-player, so if she doesn't enjoy a game, it doesn't work. I wound up giving Terra Mystica away on Twitter last year.
I don't think Terra Mystica is a 2-player game, really. I mean, I know you can play it, but I don't think it works as a 2-player game. Even
3-player, there's issues that I was reading the designer of Clans of Caledonia, Juma Al-Juju, his design diary on BGG, right. Really great. And he even mentioned some of those same things that Donna didn't like about Terra Mystica. Regardless of how many players you have, just the fact that the round tiles tell you what scores that round, it kind of dictates what you have to do. Because if you don't, you just don't stand a chance. And it can really mess you up if you have a faction that doesn't coincide well with that particular round. it can throw you off. So you're either putting off what you're going to do, or you're just foregoing points. And the fact that I want to get close to you so I can I can benefit and get the power, but the land right there is really expensive for me to terraform. However, this type right here is real inexpensive for you to terraform. They're just different issues that Juma addressed in Clans of Caledonia. I would call this the spiritual successor to Terra Mystica. I've heard some people use the word derivative. I think they use that like with a negative context, and I don't agree with that. Right. Because the things that hurt Terra Mystica, this fixes, and it has so much more to it. The variable market, where as you buy and sell goods, the prices go up and down, and the limits to when you can buy and sell based on how many merchants you have. The flow of income based on the woodcutters and the miners and where you've put them out, how the settlements are broken apart when you harvest cows for steak and sheep for mutton to fulfill different contracts. There's a lot going on in here, and it's a really, really great game. The production, the way at the end of the round you collect your income for your workers, and then your fields produce grain, your cows and produce milk, your sheep produce wool, etc. And then if you have secondary producers like a dairy, it can convert that milk to cheese. A bakery can convert the grain to bread. A distillery can convert the grain to whiskey. And so there's you can streamline whatever particular strategy you want, and the round scoring tiles don't affect that. You're going to benefit one way or another because they're open enough without being a sandbox.
TC talked about the game on the State of Games podcast this week with Chris Kirkman. So State of Games, another member of the Punchboard Media, if you get a chance to check it out. TC had some complaints about that market board. Now it was only one play, and you and I both know that a game like this takes more than one play to really figure out all the different elements. But he had some complaints about the market board. As I recall, he basically said it really was useless for them. They stayed away from it. What do you think he's going at on there? Did you see anything like that?
That means they really didn't play the game. They didn't explore it. And on your first play, I can see on our first play, we maybe touched on it once or twice. In the second play, we really took advantage of it, especially with the neighboring bonus. If I build next to one of your secondary producers, I can immediately go buy in a two-player game up to 4 of those at a discount, depending on if it's a basic good or advanced good. I can go buy at a discount of either $2 or $3 each, which can be huge if the thing normally costs $4.
Right.
I can go buy 4 of them for $1 or $2, which means I can then go fulfill this contract much easier, or I can then turn around. You can't buy and sell in the same round the same item because high-speed trading wasn't something that happened in Scotland back then. But in the next round, I can go back and sell it at the actual market price, $3, $4, wherever it is at that point, and make a nice profit off of it. Like I said, I can also use it to fulfill contract cards. So there was towards the end of the game, Donna was behind, and she was able to fulfill a contract card by doing that, by going in with her merchants and buying just the right number of items and use them to fulfill contracts and close the gap towards the end of the game. So I think in your first play, there's so much going on, you just don't see the potential there in that market board.
And I love that element in the game. Wasteland Express delivery service has that going on where they have markets among all the different little outlets where you're trying to sell or buy goods, and you're always on the lookout to see if you can find one that is a little cheaper here and then deliver it somewhere else. And of course, it flips around as people go to it. Stockpile is another game where you got to keep an eye on the prices of things as they go up and down. I always like that mechanic. So it sounds like that would be a part of the game that I would really enjoy. But for this game, who's not going to really enjoy this game? As you've played it, have you been able to spot a couple of tendencies that are going to be like, oh, you know what? I wouldn't introduce this to that gamer because that person doesn't like this aspect. Who's not going to like it?
obviously people who are more into now the game actually is very thematic, and like I said, how your fields produce grain that you can then turn into bread or whiskey, and whiskey is the highest scoring thing because of the plague that had hit Europe at the time. Scottish whiskey was the sole alcohol that was available,
Right.
so it became a really prized. So the game actually is very thematic, but obviously, if you don't like the traditional Euro themes, if that turns you off, then you're not gonna like it. If you like lighter, family weight games, obviously you're not gonna like it. But it's got a good mix of strategy, a good mix of tactics. Donna played the board well, cutting me off, so I couldn't get to certain things, and I had to adjust my strategy and go somewhere else. So if it I wouldn't exactly call it heavy. It's a medium plus, but like I said, if the traditional Euro theme of farming, etc., turns you off, or you only prefer lighter family ways, mechanically, I'm not going to say there's anything in there because I think the game is really clean. I think that Juma did a wonderful job of taking the aspects of Terra Mystica that were really great, and then polishing up the other parts, retheming it, making it way more thematic, and like I said, it's just a really, really clean design.
Yeah, that's Clans of Caledonia. BJ from Board Game Gumbo here with Gumbo Live. I've got my guest Jason Dinger. We're talking Clans of Caledonia. It got on your radar from the guys from Unpub. You and Donna have broken it out. Y'all have explored it a lot. The replayability, is it there? Do you want to dive into some more, or have you gotten all you can get out of it?
Oh no, and actually it was punching cardboard.
Oh, what did I say?
I
said heavy
punching
cardboard.
cardboard.
Sorry, punching cardboard.
You said Unpub.
Unpub.
So,
oh, you're right.
Yeah, so the guys at Punching Cardboard put it on my radar. We played it. We got it this week. I actually got it for half the going price, Punch, but never played because the guy was selling it so cheap because it was missing 10 black and 10 red meeples.
Well, that's not something Jason Dinger has to worry about. I'm sure you had extra parts at your house.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, because Jason's a game designer. He's constantly on the lookout for. I mean, you're always putting stuff on. Yeah, exactly. There it is. Plenty of meeples and bits, and
we've got a few thousand meeples in the house.
Yeah.
So,
Steve's got a comment there, Jason, and this one I think, even though I'm a history major, it went right over my head. He says, instead of trading in the Mediterranean, you're trading in the Hebrides.
Pretty much.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna look that up because I don't know where the Hebrides is.
But we've, to answer your question, we've played it twice this week. We just got it this week. We played it twice this week, and that's only because I had surgery and we're both sick tonight. So we'll be playing it again this weekend. The game's got a lot of replayability. For one thing, the 4 map boards are flipped over. There's an A and B side, so they're always different. You may have A1 with B2, C1, and D2 in one game. They're never going to be laid out the same. And then you have starting resource tiles that you get. You draft at the beginning the number of players plus 1 clans, and each clan gets a resource tile, and those are always a different combination. And those kind of give you a particular strategy, and they're also very thematic based on the actual clans. The clan that I don't want to say the wrong name, and I'm not going to see on that side of the box, but
do the clans each have unique powers? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying? Okay.
Yes. One clan at the end of every round can sell as much milk as they want as a free action for $8 each. And there's a lot of money in the game, but things cost a lot. So it's a game where you may start with $55, but you're going to finish that first round with 3. And you might go into the second round with 15.
Do you have the Kickstarter edition? Is there a difference between the retail and the Kickstarter edition as far as you know?
We've got the Kickstarter edition in that it's got a couple tiles that aren't in the retail edition, a particular port tile, a different clan tile, and one other tile. I think a export contract, but we don't have the metal money. We don't have all the extras.
No, but you can get metal money for that, or just do like I do. I've got 2 or 3 sets of metal money from games that I've played, and I keep rotating them. We've been playing Concordia, which is now, I think it's my number 2 game of all time. I mean, every time I play it, I like this game more. Is it going to overtake Viticulture? I'm not sure, but it might. I love Concordia, but I've moved my Coliseum metal money into Concordia because I just love the feel of those metal coins. Have you ever played Concordia?
I haven't. It's one of the Gerts I haven't played. But
it's the only Gerts I've played.
We've got Hamburgum and TK Duellum. Oh, I don't want to. We've got 3. Oh, Navigador. We got 3
Navigador. Yeah, Navigador is usually that second one that people have played, and he's got a new one out, as I recall. He's got one that just came out of Essen. Transatlantic. That's
what I want to check out.
It looks like a modern day version, maybe, of Concordia. I kind of see some similarities there, maybe.
I haven't looked into it too much, but I am interested in checking it out just because it's Gertz.
Well, I've got Concordia, and I do think it's a game that you're going to like. It's got, I don't want to call it the famous Jason Dinger, Carl Chuddick multi-use cards, because it's not like that. It's not something like Imperial Settlers where you have to make a decision based on 2 or 3 things on the card for what you want to do with it. Even Ulm has that with the top and the bottom actions. But the cards have multiple benefits. And so you've got to be careful as you're looking at all the cards in the card market. You may be buying Saturns because of what's on the card. In other words, it's a particular action. The cards represent actions that you can take during the game. Right. They also have multiple scoring modifiers at the bottom of the card. So you may be buying cards because they have Saturns on them because the top action is what you need. What you really have to focus on, and that helps you during the game, but it's this weird Euro where the actions you take during the game, traditionally building up your engine, spreading out across the land, developing your property, those are all things that help you to win in a traditional Euro. These only help you to win if you buy the right cards. So it's kind of diabolical. The first time I played it, the person who taught me, Max from the Dukes of Dice, a fantastic teacher, he said, look, I just want you to learn the game. Don't worry about winning. Because at the end of the game, when you look through your cards and you figure out what you have, you're going to go back and go, oh, that's how you score points. And I love that about this game, this Concordia game. It takes the whole typical Euro engine building, spreading out, and flips it on its head.
It is Daniel Newman's a friend of mine, designer from New York, and he's been telling me about it for a while. He's another big Gertz fan. It's one I do eventually want to check out.
I think it would get more publicity if they could keep it in stock. They do these very small print runs, and they sell out immediately. And instantly the price goes back up to 80, 90, 100, 120 bucks. So it's tough to get. There was a small window this summer where they reprinted it. I don't know if there's any left. I was not fortunate enough to get in on it before I noticed that the window closed. So I ended up having to pick up a copy. But I got my copy fairly inexpensively because there was a new printing, and so the prices dropped down. It's almost like speculation. You have to time the market when you buy a Matt Gertz game, and I don't understand why they just can't keep it in stock, in print. I mean,
yeah, just certain publishers don't. They don't want to run the risk. They don't want to have to incur the warehousing fees and things like that. And I've seen small publishers, one particular small publisher that had a really bad year last year, where they had a game that was really popular and everybody wanted it. It sold out. He was getting lots of. Who's the designer? Was the publisher also, and a lot of people were asking about it. And when he finally got everything together, he invested his own money in the reprint. And when all that was said and done, and he had it come out, the distributors, the stores, whoever was asking for it, said, "Oh no, we're stocking this game now that's similar, but a different game." And he wound up eating it. And I don't want to lie, but I'm pretty sure he was selling cases of the game for about $15 or $20.
Wow.
Yeah, cases of a game that the game itself might be $20 to $30.
Right.
And he's selling a case, say 10 or 20 of that game for less than that.
Well, let's hope that Captains of the Gulf falls in more like Concordia, where they can't keep it in stock rather than that game. Whenever.
With Captains, it's going to be a Spillworks release, which means there's only 1,000 anyway.
Right. And then when they sold out, he waits for enough interest to be generated, and then Uli produces another 1,000. I guess is how he works.
No, he never produces another copy of a game.
That's it. The Spielworks games that are in the wild, that's the only ones that are out there.
There are 1,000 copies, and it's a bit of a collector's edition of the games that I have on my Spielworks shelf, because I've got just about every Spielworks game. There's a couple of them that it is kind of a thorn in my side that they're the Stronghold or Capstone version. And I love both of those companies, but the collector in me really wants that original Spielworks copy. But you're looking at 3 or 4 times the price, and I already have a Stronghold or Capstone version of that game.
For that, I don't. It doesn't bother me to get a different name brand on there, whether it's Rio Grande or Z-Man or Stronghold or whoever it is. It's never bothers me. What kills me is the bits. I always hate it when somebody else has a nicer version of the game than I have. That's what kills me.
The only 2 companies I'm like that about are What's Your Game and Spielworks. Otherwise, I don't really care. The game is the game, but What's Your Game and Spielworks are my 2 favorite companies. And there's just a certain, I don't know, it makes my heart smile to see all those logos line up across on the shelf like that.
It does look good. I like the way my Leah games line up like that also. All right, so you had another game that you wanted to talk about tonight that I'm very curious in. I love thematic Euro games, and I don't know why, but maybe it's because of our heritage where we live. Something about Wildcatters just intrigues me. I know nothing else about it except for the theme. I've seen you talk about it. I've seen the heavy cardboard people talk about it. There it is. There's the cover for Wildcatters. I don't even know who the designer is or who the company is. Tell me about Wildcatters.
It's Andre Spiel and Rolf Sagel are the designers, and it was originally put out with Ross Games, which is basically them. I want to say initially, the initial print run was 900 copies. Don't quote me on that, but it wasn't much. I want to say it was about 900. So very interactive, very thematic. You have 2 forms of economy. That you have the shares in your company and the other companies, and you have workers, which are basically, in the original game they were actually money, but it's more thematic that it takes this many workers to accomplish this task. At any time, you can cash in 3 shares for 1 worker. You don't want to do that. That means you planned really poorly. And what happens is the game board is divided into 4 major regions, each of them divided in half: Russia, Asia, South America, North America. And then there are 3 non-oil producing areas that you can sell oil to get it refined. And that's Africa, Europe, and Australia. And so what happens, you draft cards. There are 8 location cards that are out for you to draft.
Okay.
And, that's North America, South America. And if you're colorblind, they have the particular area that it is. I'm trying to get it on the camera. It's in color while the rest is white. And also each card is going to have different benefits to it. In this case, this card lets you do a refinery action and gives you 2 workers.
Okay.
This card is 1 oil drop and 2 workers. The oil drops are victory points at the end of the game, and they also dictate turn order for the last round of the game. So what happens is you draft 1, and that dictates what area of the world you could act in that round. And on your turn, you go through these phases, take as many actions as you want to or can afford. You go put out oil rigs, little derricks there.
Nice, look at that, little derricks.
Yeah. So you go put them out, and once there are 4 derricks in a region, with, like I said, the 8 oil-producing regions, once there are 4 there, it doesn't have to be 4 of yours. It could be, 1 of yours and 3 of someone else's. And the cost is, it's 4 workers for your first 3, and then your 4th one costs 6 workers, so it gets progressively expensive. Then you can replace one of you spend $8 to pull the plug. Once we're all there, because these just represent that we're all looking for oil.
Right.
But once we get it, you take a pump jack and you put it down where you pull one of your rigs off, and it gets 3 of your barrels of oil. Anyone else that's there in that location can piggyback off of you. They give you 3 shares of their company, and then they get to do that for one of their rigs that are there.
Okay.
You can do it for more than one of your rigs later as you develop. After that's done, each of the areas has a wildcatter disc, and those are little investors. They struck a little bit of oil, but they don't want to stick around, and they don't want to run. They want to sell it off and go find some more oil. So there's an auction for them. You auction shares, and the winner, it goes to the bank. You put 1 barrel of your oil on that wildcatter, and later in the round, you can deliver. You deliver to refineries. Each refinery has 5 spaces.
Yeah, show it in the middle. There you go.
There we go. All right.
Okay. Yep.
Or you can deliver to the cargo ships, which can then bring it to other refineries. And when you use someone else's cargo ship or train to get it to a refinery, you actually stack little oil barrels on top of it. You pay them in shares of your company. When you deliver oil to a refinery, the owner of that refinery pays you 2 shares in their company. So I can go and dump a bunch of my oil off on your refinery, and you've got to give up shares of your company, which make it difficult for you to do stuff later. And you don't have a choice there. If I deliver to your refinery, you have to buy it. Also, once the refinery is full, at the end of the round, it's emptied off into there are these little boxes at the bottom of the game board that match each area, North America, South America, and they go down there, and you'll get shares for the colors of oil barrels that are delivered, but you can choose for your barrels. You get shares for the other colors you deliver, but for your barrels that are there, you can either get shares, which means your barrel comes off, or you can leave it there for the area majority scoring at the end of the game. And that's a lot of points, 16 points for first place for each of those areas.
So there is some area majority then.
Oh, there's 8 different area majorities, the different areas, each of them. If the refinery is not full, then it doesn't get unloaded unless you have a card that has the refinery icon. Like I showed you, you can use that once per round to unload a refinery that's not full yet.
That's a lot of player interaction. I mean, you've detailed 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that players can.
I haven't scratched the surface.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Not your typical Euro then.
Oh, no, not at all. And if you go to one place by yourself, you're basically guaranteeing you're going to lose the game.
Okay. Because
you can't get enough done. You can't produce enough oil to fill the refinery up. You can't. You're limited to 4 pieces of your color in an area anyway. So
you've got to build on what other people are doing and.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of interaction there.
Very thematic. Lots of interaction. The art style is beautiful. The components with capstone are upgraded. The old one was almost everything was cardboard chits.
Okay.
This one is lots of wood.
I don't remember knowing much about this before you pointed out that capstones, and I think it was you that pointed out that capstones was gonna do an addition. How did you find out about this game?
I found out about it from Heavy Cardboard about 1.5 years ago. It was actually a runner-up for their Golden Elephant Award for the heaviest, the award for the heaviest, the best heavy game of the year.
Heavy game of the year, right?
Yeah, and it was a runner-up that year. I think 2015.
Yeah, who did it lose to?
I want to say it lost to Madeira. I'd have to go back and look. No, not Madeira. Madeira was the first year.
Was it Florida game?
Only because you're asking me, I can't remember. It's
Yeah.
Food Chain Magnet, 1822, Madeira, and my brain is fried. I cannot think of the other, which is probably the one that it beat out. If I had to guess, it's probably the one that it beat out.
Wasn't the Gallerist? No.
No, it wasn't the Gallerist. They weren't. Back then, Tony was on the show, and he really wasn't that big on the Gallerist.
Okay.
It was his least favorite Lacerda, so I know it definitely wasn't the Gallerist.
And that is the You have the Capstone edition?
Yes.
Okay.
The other version is all but impossible to find these days. I want to say I checked on BGG in the marketplace, and the copies that were there were just way too expensive.
And as usual, at least from what you've shown me in these Capstone games, because I've never played a Capstone game, they go all out. It looks like a great production with the bits and the rule book and the box artwork.
Oh, definitely. Clay redoes when he does a game. It's not just a reprint; it's a true second edition. And we have Lignum, Arkwright, Wildcatters, The Roar, and Hostile Connect. I think those are all. Oh, and the Climbers.
And the Climbers, yeah, that's right.
So we only have 6 of the 7 or 8 Capstone games that they've put out so far.
That's only 6 I know of. You have all the ones that I know about. And did you notice that?
Redux.
What's that?
Three Kingdoms Redux.
That was Capstone?
Yeah, it's a second edition.
Okay.
But that's 3-player only, so it doesn't work for Donna and I.
Yeah, that didn't work. Did you notice that for your love spread of the week, what game was chosen?
I did, but again, because I remember seeing it earlier tonight. Oh, I told you, Lignum. Yeah, I'm sorry. I told you I woke up with a fever this morning, so I'm hanging in there. But
you have talked more about Lignum than anybody else I know. I know it's. I don't think it's your favorite game of all time, but I know it's up there. I mean, I know it's one of your favorite games. Yeah, top 5. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Steve gets Arkwright, but.
It's the only game that was featured in the 25th wedding anniversary photo shoot that Donna and I did.
It was.
It was the only game.
Multiple times, as I recall.
Yeah. 3 days. It got 3 days worth of shot.
So I figured Lignum would be a good choice for your love spread of the week. And, I nominated you for that because of a lot of the stuff that you do. And, Jason, right here on the show, I want to thank you for all the stuff you do with evangelizing the hobby. That's what Gumbo Live is all about. But even more than that, I mean, your woodworking skills, and the fact that you share all these with people, there's got to be a reason why you do this. And I think it's just because you want to give back to the community that's been so good to you.
That's exactly what it is. I like making people smile. Making other people smile makes me smile. So I guess maybe I'm selfish in that regard. I don't know.
What if everybody on Twitter tried every day to make everybody smile?
Twitter would implode. Twitter. Yeah, no, that wouldn't happen on Twitter.
It's not going to happen. I stick on Twitter to my little board game community, and 90% of it is very happy. So I'm very happy with
It's the same what I do. Every now and then I'll see something someone else tweeted, and I'll cringe or shake my head and no, I'm not even going to get into that.
For me, when I see something outside of the ordinary, a discussion about non-geek related movies or TV or politics or religion or something like that, it's not that I cringe. It's that I go, why is that there? and I remember, oh yeah, these are real people that have other interests. I just think of Twitter, the Board Game Gumbo Twitter account and all the people that I feed, because I try to curate it very well. But it's like a happening of everything that goes on in board games every day,
Right. Well, I'm talking about cringe based on some of the things people say, not the topic.
Yeah.
But how they handle the topic.
Yeah, that is true.
But if I can, this is my latest.
Yeah, let's see
it. Trying to see if I can get it on the screen well enough.
It's either a miniature railroad track or card holder.
It is a card holder. And what I did was
There's 2 lines on it, though.
Yes, it's dual slot.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So the ones I made in the past were single slot, like this. And we played a game, like say Agricola, where you've got 7 occupation cards and 7 minor improvement cards. So having 2 small ones to move around it kind of got in the way with the game that takes up all the table. So I got the idea to try these, and I had enough wood that was about the right size, but it was a little too thin. So what I did was I took a bunch of scraps, I marked the grain direction, so I knew once I started cutting these weird shapes out how I needed to plane it to flush it all up. And then I cut them all in these odd rock-like shapes and glued them down. And then what I did was I put plywood pieces with wax paper around all the sides and just pin nailed them in. and filled it with clear epoxy. So once I pulled that off and planed it all down, the epoxy is sort of like the grout on I'm trying to get it in the light just right.
Yeah, twisted there. There you go, just like that.
The epoxy is sort of the grout on a stone wall, and the different species of wood are the, different types of stone. And then once that's done, I cut a round over profile with a little ledge there, a little rabbit.
Nice.
And I cut the card slots 5/8 of an inch from the sides at a 15-degree angle. So
it looks really good.
To test for, I wanted to test it to see how it works. So these are for Donna and I, but I did make a set of 4 8-inch, and these are just an angled mosaic. So I just took different species and angled it 22.5 degrees and did the same thing. It's the same width, just not quite as long in order to fit in the shipping box. And then cut the dual slots, cut the round over and all that. So I think I'm going to start making those dual slot trays or holders, however you want to call it. I'm going to make those from now on.
Nice. BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live, getting close to the end. Jason, you got time for a quick Envy game? We haven't played it with you before, I don't think.
Sure.
Have we tried it with you? I don't think so.
Yeah, you did actually. You were really surprised by my answer.
Oh, was I? Oh, what was it? Because I don't have it on the list. It must have been one of the. Oh, that was one of the beta tests, real early. What was it?
It was crokinole.
Crokinole. Oh man, I don't even remember that. Wow, you did stick with it. You know what? We've done it already with you. Then no. We're not going to put any pressure on you tonight. Maybe we'll do it another time, unless you have something.
Well, I just want to show you 2 other games that are
new to me,
not new games. Goa by Rudiger Dorn.
Okay.
This is a very, very elegant game.
I like Rudiger Dorn. That is also the guy that did the Spiel des Jahres one.
He did Istanbul a couple years ago.
And he did, it's in my bag right now because I was supposed to go to the library tonight and I ended up, I was not able to go to it. Karuba. Thank you, Steve. I don't know why. I mean, it's in my bag in the back of my car. You think I would remember it? Karuba. Have you ever played Karuba?
I haven't. I want to say I have a mini expansion for it that I got from Advent Calendar, if I'm not mistaken.
The volcano?
Yes. Yeah.
The volcano. I'm not sure if you'd like Karuba. It might be a little bit too simple for your taste, although you and I both know that you and Donna do enjoy playing filler games and smaller games. One that Steve O'Rourke's been teaching me is Port Royale, and I think you're a fan of either Port Royale or Oh My Goods, one of the two.
Both. I'm a big fan of Alexander Pfister in general.
Okay. Yeah, I knew you liked those games, and Steve mops the floor with me right now, but I'm going to keep practicing until I learn it. So I do know you like lighter games. I don't know if there's enough in the decision tree for you to like Karuba, but I'd like to see you try it because I know you're a big Rudiger Dorn fan.
If the gameplay is fast enough, I don't mind a light game. I just don't like a light game that plays as long as most of the medium games I play. Now, to be fair, Don and I play pretty fast. We play most hour-and-a-half games in an hour. We play most hour games in 45 minutes because we play a lot.
Set up and tear down for you and Donna with Karuba is going to take you 30 minutes.
Okay. The cool thing about Goa is that you have on your player board, you have basically a tech tree, and you can use certain spices that you're harvesting along with ships to move down. And as you move down on each of these columns, you're improving your abilities to do different things in the game. And it's also worth some points at the end. So that's really cool, the decisions that you make to allow you to move down. The next one is Luna.
Ooh, Luna. I didn't know you had Luna.
I just got it. I got it for $30 shipped.
Okay.
Plus unplayed because a woman bought it and opened it and said she couldn't play it because she was colorblind. So shipping on this game had to be at least $13.
Right.
So I got it for about $17.
Yeah, and that one was just reprinted, as I recall, right? Is that the new reprint?
It was either just reprinted or it's being reprinted. I don't want to lie. But it's a little different. It's actually got a mechanism that I never played this. I didn't know that it was in there, but it's got a mechanism that or similar mechanism to what I use in the Acadians. The Acadians, your workers, once they're out in the fields and you've harvested with them, you lay them down. so they can't be used to harvest again that round. They're exhausted.
They're sleeping or
In
exhausted.
the round, you stand them back up. Well, in Luna, there are these different islands around the main board, and your workers are on the island. And to take the action, you pull them off the island, and to show they're used, they're inactive. And at the end of the round, you put them back on. There's not really a thematic reason why it works like that in Luna. It just says that you do it. They basically go for a swim, I guess you could say.
Okay.
But basically, your workers are spent, and then you recoup them at the at the beginning of the next round. And that's something similar that I have going on in one aspect of the Acadians. In all the others, it doesn't necessarily work that way, but in the harvesting, it does.
Interesting. Have you gotten it to the table yet, or you're just still learning it?
Oh, what's that, Luna?
Right.
No, we played it once. We want to play it again, but we got it, and then the next day we got Goa, and then Clans of Caledonia, and then about 2 days later, Wildcatters. So we haven't gotten it back to the table only because and then Bonanza the Duel.
Okay.
Was another one we just recently got.
I think that just came out at Essen, right?
I think
maybe last year.
Yeah, maybe so. This is our fourth Bonanza game. Our fourth game. We have the original. We have Bone to Be Wild.
You have the big box yellow edition of Bonanza.
I'm not gonna say it's big box. One second, I'll show you what we have. Let's see. So,
Yeah.
I guess it is a bigger box.
Yeah, that's the one I have, the Rio Grande edition. Yeah.
And then we have Würfel Bonanza, which is the dice game.
Say that again. You cut out.
Würfel Bonanza. Würfel is its dice.
Dice. Okay.
Yeah. So
Bonanza, the dice game.
Yeah. Now, Würfel Bonanza plays really well at 2-player. Regular Bonanza and Bone to Be Wild, the other one we have, don't play so great at 2-player because of.
I've read the rule for the 2-player version of Bonanza, and there's no attraction there for me at all.
This fixes it.
It does? Okay.
Yeah, it's got this system of gift cards where I offer something. I have to offer you something on my turn. I draw 3 and I offer you one of them or something from my hand. So you see 3 of them, you don't know what's in my hand. I can bluff, but if you choose to take my bluff, then I have to give you $1.
Okay.
Points of the game. If you don't want what I'm giving you, you in turn offer me something. And once a card is offered, if I offer you a 12, because in this game it's the cards are numbered, if I can find the right ones. So the cards are numbered. There we go.
Okay.
10, and of course more 10s, 16s. And the way you play them is you can either play the same number on top, so you can play a 10 on top of a 10, or the next number, 10, 12, or actually it starts at 6. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20.
Okay.
And, there's a little bit more to it, but he really fixed that trading aspect that didn't work in 2 players with the gift cards.
Well, he's had 15 years to work on it, so you think by now he's got some good ideas for 2-player. Because, like I said, I read the rules and I just wasn't that impressed with it. So I'm glad to hear he got it fixed.
Yeah. Also, it's on the I don't know if it's out for Samsung, but it's on the iPhone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got it for maybe $1.99, and really good implementation.
Are you an iOS gamer?
Not much. I mean, I if I'm at work on a conference call where they're talking about something that doesn't pertain to me, but I have to be on the call for when they get to my part, so I'm just sitting there on the speakerphone with it on mute. I have some time during the. I'll sit there and I'll play it there, But
I just downloaded Through the Ages, a game I've never played, but I've always wanted to play. But I'm not going to sit. I just don't. I don't have the patience to sit through that long of a game.
Right.
Not on a Wednesday night. I mean, my typical MO is I try to get 2 or 3 games on a Wednesday night. I want to see my buddies, play a bunch of different tables, play with a bunch of different people, and Through the Ages would kill that. But the app takes care of all the fiddly stuff for you. So
Right.
Mike from the Dice Tower is the one who said, "Hey man, you got to try this out. Learn the game, and it comes with a built-in play against other people feature. So
Right.
once I learn how to play it, Mike and I can start playing. So that might be kind of fun."
Yeah, there's a little asynchronous play, where you take a turn, I take a turn, which works really well. I haven't used it. Like I said, I only play against the AI, but I understand it works really well.
Oh, so you have Through the Ages then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
still in the tutorial. So you like the app? What do you think?
oh yeah, it's another one where the app is like a perfect implementation of the game.
I'm not always a fan of jokes in rules or tutorials because some of them are funny and some of them just not funny.
Right.
Vladya Khwadl in this one is actually pretty funny during the tutorial. So
Yeah, going back and forth, fussing with the
he's fighting with Napoleon, or he's fighting with not Napoleon, Aristotle, or I forget who it is.
right.
He's fighting with one of the wise old men. So yeah, Vladya's got a good sense of humor, and his rule books, from what I've read, are pretty funny. But it's not always funny when people try to inject jokes into the rule book.
One thing, sorry, I had to step away.
You're like a fan of new board games over there, Jason. You're normally not the new hotness guy. You're the guy that is talking about games that have fallen out of favor, and you're bringing us all these new hot games.
Well, I mean, Luna and Goa.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So, and technically, Wildcatters is an older game. Well, not older, but it's a few years old.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that's true. I hadn't thought of that. That Wildcatters is around. Yeah, a bunch of great games, man. I really enjoyed you coming on, Jason. As you always got an open invitation to talk about some of these games that you want to play. Keep up the good work on your game designs, and I can't wait to read on Twitter that you're getting on the plane and you're flying to Dusseldorf, and you're going to be going to Essen for the Spiel in 2018.
Man, if only, that'd be nice, but I just don't know if that's in the cards. I'm totally intended.
Stop giving away those card trays and sell them for $100 a piece, and you'll have your flight ticket paid for.
I can't do that, man. That's not who I am. I can't do that.
I know. Hey, Jason, how can people reach you on social media if they have some questions about the games that you talked about tonight, or just woodworking in general?
The best place for gaming stuff is Twitter. It's at Jason Dinger without the E. So JASONDINGR.
All right. Good luck with all the new projects. All right, board gamers. I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo. This has been another episode of Gumbo Live, proud member of Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. And until next time, Jason, laissez le bon temps rouler.
Laissez le bon temps rouler.
All right, man. We'll see you later.
Bye.